这个故事如果你听起来不累，那么你的听力水平在生活中是完全够用的。要持续提升英文，记得点击订阅按钮。我们开始吧。
The night air felt thick, like it was holding its breath. A young sailor crouched behind a stack of wooden crates near the dock, his heart beating so hard it almost made noise. He leaned forward just enough to see past the corner. Two guards stood by a lantern, talking in low voices. He waited. No sudden moves. No sound. Just watching. Back then, along the busy coasts of England, danger did not always come with loud steps. It came quietly, like fog rolling in. Smugglers knew this well. They lived on the edge of risk, moving goods that the law said they should not have. Tea, silk, brandy, sometimes even letters that were never meant to be seen. And every move had to be timed just right. The sailor was not a criminal by nature. He had grown up in a small fishing village where the sea was both a friend and an enemy. Storms took people without warning, and empty nets meant hunger. So when a chance came to earn quick money, he took it. One night job, they said. Just watch, they said. Easy. But nothing near the coast was ever easy. He wiped sweat from his hands and looked again. The guards had not moved much. One shifted his weight, the other laughed quietly. The lantern light made long shadows that stretched across the ground like dark fingers. The sailor pulled back, his mind racing. He had been told to wait for a signal. Just 3 words. That was it. When he heard them, he could move. Time stretched. Every second felt like a minute. A rat ran across the dock, making a soft scratching sound. The sailor froze. One of the guards turned his head slightly. Silence fell again. Then, from somewhere behind him, a whisper came. Soft, but clear. The coast is clear. He did not turn. He did not ask who said it. He trusted the words because he had to. In that world, trust was not about safety. It was about survival. He moved quickly now, slipping from shadow to shadow, keeping low. His steps were light, almost silent. The ship waited just ahead, its dark shape blending into the night. That simple phrase carried more than just meaning. It carried permission. It carried relief. It told him that for this brief moment, danger had stepped aside. But the phrase itself had a deeper life, one that grew over years along rough shores and hidden paths. Long before that sailor crouched by the dock, watchers stood on cliffs with cold wind cutting through their coats. They scanned the horizon, not for beauty, but for threat. Government ships, patrol boats, anyone who could stop the flow of illegal goods. These watchers had sharp eyes and steady nerves. They learned to read the sea the way others read books. When everything looked safe, when no sails marked trouble, they would send word down to those waiting below. Sometimes it was a lantern signal. Sometimes a hand wave. And sometimes, when they were close enough, just a quiet voice carrying the message. The coast is clear. Simple words. Easy to say. But they meant that every eye had checked, every risk had been weighed, and for now, nothing stood in the way. Over time, the phrase left the shore. It moved into streets, into homes, into everyday life. People used it when a strict parent left the room, when a teacher turned away, when a chance opened up for something small but important. It lost the salt air but kept its edge. Back at the dock, the sailor reached the ship. A rope ladder hung down, swaying slightly. He grabbed it and climbed, each step careful. At the top, a rough hand pulled him over. No words were exchanged. There was no need. Crates were already being moved. Quiet, fast, practiced. The crew worked like shadows, each person knowing their role. The sailor joined in, lifting, carrying, placing. His fear did not go away, but it changed. It became focus. Then came a sudden sound. Not loud, but wrong. A sharp knock of wood against wood from the far side of the dock. Everyone froze. The sailor felt his chest tighten. Had they been seen? Had someone made a mistake? Footsteps followed. Slow, heavy, getting closer. No one spoke. No one moved. The night seemed to close in. Another whisper, tighter this time. Wait. The sailor held his breath. The footsteps stopped. A voice, distant but clear, called out something he could not fully hear. Then silence again. Seconds passed. Then more. Finally, from the same unseen voice, calm but firm, came the words again. The coast is clear. The tension broke like a wave hitting rocks. Work resumed, faster now. They had little time. The sailor moved with new energy, driven by the close call. He understood now what those words really meant. They were not just about safety. They were about timing, about judgment, about knowing when to act and when to stay still. By the time the first hint of dawn touched the sky, the ship was ready. Lines were cut, sails adjusted. The vessel slipped away from the dock, quiet as it had come. The sailor stood at the edge, looking back at the shore. It already felt far away, like a place from another life. He knew he would remember this night. Not just the fear, but the waiting. The listening. The moment when everything depended on 3 simple words. Years later, far from that coast, he heard the phrase again. This time in a crowded market, said by a child trying to sneak a piece of candy. He almost laughed. The danger was gone, replaced by something small and harmless. But the feeling was the same. That quick lift in the chest. That signal that the path ahead, at least for now, was open. You have had moments like that too. Maybe not on a dark dock with guards nearby, but in your own way. Times when you waited, watched, and listened. Times when you needed the right moment to act. A quiet chance. A small window. And when it came, you moved. That is what The Coast is Clear has always been about. Not just the absence of danger, but the presence of opportunity. A brief space where fear steps back and action steps forward. So the next time you hear it, or even think it, remember that sailor in the dark. Remember the watchers on the cliffs. Remember that behind those simple words is a long story of risk, patience, and choice. And maybe ask yourself, when your moment comes, will you recognize it, and will you move?
能以非母语者的身份专注学习到现在，这本身就是很棒的进步。真诚感谢你的观看。如果你觉得本期内容实用，点赞或留言让我知道你的想法，这对我持续创作非常重要。我们下期见。